Stop. Before you scroll away, let me ask you this. Have you ever stared at a poetry question in your English FAL exam and thought, where do I even begin? Well, today is your lucky day. In the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to show you exactly how to tackle any poetry question in paper 2 using a foolproof method that works every single time. I am Professor R.A.I, your AI-powered exam mentor, and today we are dissecting On the Grasshopper and Cricket by Keats, a poem that examiners love to test. By the end of this video, you will have a clear strategy for 1 mark, 2 mark, and 3 mark questions. Plus, I've got a secret memory trick that will help you identify poetic devices instantly. First things first, who was Keats? He was a romantic poet from early 1800s who died tragically young at just 25. But he left us incredible poems about nature, beauty, and the human experience. Now, let's read the poem together. Follow along as I go through it. Notice I'll be referring to specific line numbers throughout this video. Why? Because examiners love when you cite exact lines. It shows you know the text inside and out. Let's read the poem. On the Grasshopper and Cricket by Keats. The poetry of earth is never dead. When all the birds are faint with the hot sun and hide in cooling trees, a voice will run from hedge to hedge about the new mown mead. That is the grasshopper's. He takes the lead. In summer luxury, he has never done with his delights, for when tired out with fun, he rests at ease beneath some pleasant weed. The poetry of earth is ceasing never. On a lone winter evening, when the frost has wrought a silence, from the stove there shrills the cricket's song, in warmth increasing ever, and seems to one in drowsiness half lost, the grasshoppers among some grassy hills. This poem celebrates the endless music of nature. When summer grasshoppers go quiet, winter crickets take over. The poet is saying nature's poetry never stops. There is always life, always beauty, no matter the season. Now, let's look at the key themes to remember. Theme number 1, continuity of life through seasons. Theme number 2, nature as poetry and music. Theme number 3, finding beauty in small creatures. Theme number 4, the cycle of life and renewal. Before we dive into questions, here's my secret weapon, the D.E.M.O method. Remember this acronym and you will never struggle with poetry questions again. D stands for device. What technique it's used? E stands for effect. What does it do? M stands for meaning. What does it mean? And O stands for overall impact. How does it serve the poem's theme? Not every question needs all 4, but this framework will guide your thinking. Let's see it in action. Here is your exam tip. Always include line numbers when quoting. Instead of just writing the quote, write. For example, in line number 1, the poet states that This immediately shows the examiner you know the text precisely. Now, let's master 1-mark questions. For example, identify the figure of speech in line number 1. The poetry of earth is never dead. That is 1 mark. For 1-mark questions, examiners want 1 correct term. That's it. No explanation needed. Let's use our D.E.M.O method. We only need the D for device. In line number 1, the poetry of earth is never dead. Earth doesn't literally write poetry, so this is a metaphor. Remember, 1 mark is equals to 1 word or short phrase. Don't overthink it. Now, let's look at some common mistake alerts. Learners often write personification here because dead seems human. But earth isn't being given human characteristics. It's being compared to something else entirely. That's a metaphor. Another example. What is the mood in lines 10 to 11? On a lone winter evening, when the frost has wrought a silence. That's 1 mark. Your answer? Peaceful or quiet? Now let's move and conquer 2-mark questions. For example, explain the effectiveness of the metaphor in line number 1. That is a 2 marks question. 2 marks means meaning plus effect. Let's break it down. Mark number 1 for meaning. What does this metaphor mean? Mark number 2, effect. What impact does it have? Now let's look at the answer. In line number 1, the metaphor compares nature's sounds to poetry, suggesting that the earth constantly creates beautiful verses through natural sounds. That is 1 mark for meaning. This emphasizes that even when the world seems silent, life and beauty persist, creating hope and continuity for the reader. That is 1 mark for effect. Now let's look at another example. How do lines 5 to 6 reveal the grasshopper's character? That is a 2 mark question. Now let's look at the answer. Lines 5 to 6 show the grasshopper takes the lead in summer luxury, portraying him as confident and joyful. That is 1 mark for character trait. This personification makes the grasshopper seem like a carefree leader of summer, emphasizing nature's vibrant energy during the warm season. That is another 1 mark for effect or technique. Now let's master 3 mark questions. For example, quote and explain how the poet shows that nature's music continues in winter. That is 3 marks. 3 marks typically breaks down as quote, 1 mark, plus device, 1 mark, plus explanation, 1 mark. Let's find the perfect example. Here is your answer. In lines 11 to 12, from the stoves there shrills the cricket's song, in warmth increasing ever. That is 1 mark for quote. The poet uses auditory imagery and personification. That will be 1 mark for device. The cricket's song shrills from the warm stove, showing that even when winter frost creates silence outside, nature's music continues indoors. The word increasing suggests this music grows stronger, reinforcing the theme that nature's poetry is eternal and adaptive. That is 1 mark for explanation. Let's look at question example number 2. With reference to line 13 to 14, explain how the poem comes full circle. That is a 3 marks question. Now let's look at how you could answer this. In lines 13 to 14, and seems to one in drowsiness half lost, the grasshoppers among some grassy hills. That is 1 mark for quote. The poet uses circular structure and imagery. Again, 1 mark for device. The poem ends by returning to the grasshopper from beginning, but now it's imagined in winter. This creates unity and reinforces that summer and winter are connected. The cricket song reminds us of the grasshopper, proving nature's continuity. That is 1 mark for explanation. Now let's look at some poetic devices. Let's quickly review the devices you are mostly likely to see with examples from our poem. Device number 1, metaphor. Metaphor is a direct comparison without like or as. For example, in line number 1, poetry of earth. Poetic device number 2, personification. Personification is given human qualities to non-human things. For example, in line number 11, frost has wrought a silence. Poetic device number 3, imagery. Imagery is a vivid descriptions that appeal to senses. For example, lines 13 to 14. Grasshoppers among some grassy hills. Now, alliteration. Alliteration is the repeated initial consonant sounds. For example, line number 14. Grasshoppers grassy, the G sound. Lastly, let's look at the repetition. Repetition is the repeated words or phrases for emphasis. For example, line 1 and 9, poetry of earth. Now, let's look at the memory trick that I told you earlier. My personal images are so repeated. My is for metaphor. Personal is for personification. Images is for imagery. R is for alliteration. So it's for symbolism. Repeated is for repetition. Now it's your turn. Let's practice. This is the practice round. Pause the video here and try these yourself. I'll give you 45 seconds each. Practice number 1. What device is used in line number 5? That is the grasshoppers. It takes the lead. 1 mark. Your answer is personification. The grasshopper is given the human ability to take the lead. Now let's move to practice number 2. Explain the effect of the repetition in lines 1 and 9. That is 2 marks. Here is your answer. The repetition of the poetry of earth is never dead, ceasing never, creates emphasis and unity in the poem. That is 1 mark. This reinforces the central theme that nature's beauty and music are eternal, creating a sense of certainty and comfort for the reader. Another 1 mark. Now practice number 3. Quote and analyze how lines 2 to 4 create a summer scene. That will be a 3 mark question. Here is your answer. When all the birds are faint with the hot sun and hide in cooling trees, a voice will run from hedge to hedge about the new mown mead. That is 1 mark for quote. The poet uses visual and auditory imagery. That is 1 mark for device. These lines paint a hot summery day where birds seek shade, but nature's music continues through the grasshopper's voice moving across the freshly cut grass, establishing the summer setting before introducing the grasshoppers as summer's musician. That is 1 mark for explanation. How did you do? Drop your answers in the comments section below. Here is your exam day game plan. Before you write, number 1, read the question twice. Circle the key command words. Number 2, identify how many marks equals to how much detail needed. Number 3, find your quote first and note the line number. Number 4, quickly identify the device before you start writing. While you write, number 1, always start with line numbers. For example, in line X, then you write your answer. Number 2, use the D.E.M.O method as your guide. Number 3, keep answers concise but complete. And lastly, always link back to the theme or meaning. Here's what examiners hate. Number 1, quotes without line numbers. Number 2, vague answers like "it sounds nice." Number 3, wrong terminology. That is when calling metaphors similes. Number 4, personal opinions without text evidence. And lastly, writing too much for low mark questions. Here's what examiners love. Number 1, precise line number citations. Number 2, accurate terminology for devices. Number 3, clear connections between technique and meaning. Number 4, appropriate quote selection. And lastly, confident, concise answers. And there you have it. You now have the complete toolkit to tackle any poetry question in English FAL Paper 2. Let's recap your superpowers. Number 1, the D.E.M.O method for approaching any question. Number 2, clear strategies for 1, 2, and 3 mark questions. Number 3, the importance of citing line numbers. Examiners notice these. Number 4, a memory trick for poetic devices. And lastly, exam day tactics that work. Remember, On the Grasshopper and Cricket teaches us that nature's poetry never dies. and neither should your confidence in answering poetry questions. Here's my final challenge for you. Take another poem from your syllabus and practice citing line numbers with the D.E.M.O method. Then comment below and tell me which line you found most powerful. Now, download the free practice worksheet with the full poem and line numbers. The link is in the description below. Subscribe for more exam crushing strategies. Like if this helped boost your confidence. Comment your favorite line and why. Also include the line number. And remember, the poetry of learning is never dead. Keep practicing, keep improving, and I will see you in the next lesson where we'll tackle essay questions. Until then, stay focused, stay ready, and let's ace that paper 2 together.